Hey everybody, welcome back to Brainiac Baseball's 1982 Detroit Tigers season replay. Today we are going to do sort of a trade deadline special video. I'm going to make a trade for a relief pitcher, a right-handed relief pitcher, and I've had some requests that have asked me to kind of show my process for making a trade, and this is certainly not a tutorial or anything like that. If you play this game, you definitely have the wherewithal and the knowledge of how to make a trade in this game. But maybe you don't go about it the same way that I do or take certain things into effect that I do. So I guess that's kind of my my philosophy of making this video today, is just to show you some different possibilities out there for doing deals. And as we're getting closer to the trade deadline, and especially now that we've lost 4 in a row, I feel compelled to try to make a deal happen here. We definitely need a relief pitcher. I guess let's start with some of the basic things that I want to think about today. Is one, we need to make a right-handed relief pitcher trade. Dave Patterson, not going to cut it. Looking into our bullpen, we have no right-handers that I would consider bringing up for the stretch run. Dave Rucker will be back as a lefty. He'll replace Bruce Robbins. So our lefties, I feel good about. So we're looking for a right-hander that's maybe got less than 40 innings pitched from a team that would actually make a deal with us, not one that would, like sometimes a game will just say, okay, well, Cincinnati, who's 28 games above 500, they'll make a deal for you where they're giving away their closer. Well, that's not right. They would never do that in a million years. Let's just take a look as an example. Like, would Cincinnati trade Jay Howell? They might trade him. He's their closer on a team that's about ready to win the division. So I would never trade with Cincinnati, regardless of whether or not I want Jay Howell. So I did a little reconnaissance already. I've narrowed it down to 3 teams. And I'll show you the teams and I'll show you the players, and then we'll figure out who is willing to wheel and deal with us. In the American League, there really isn't any team here that excites me other than Texas. They have Tom Henke as their closer, and he is available. As you can see here, they might trade him. So he is a pitcher that I would be interested in because, one, is he is a right-handed closer. I'd never like to have left-handed closers. I'd like to have a left-hander available to close out a ball game if we're going to have a stretch of lefties to wrap up the game. So if that helps us get a win, I'll go to a lefty. But regardless, I like to have a righty as a closer. And right now we have Roger Weaver, who is not a traditional closer in any way. He's been getting the job done. He's only blown 1 save this season, but long term, we need to find someone who could take over that role. Tom Henke is that guy. He's only 24 years old. He's making the major league minimum, which is awesome. And he doesn't go to arbitration for 2 more seasons after this year. So we've got him for what I would consider to be, for what I would consider to be long term. So that will not factor into our payroll, which is the other thing that we need to think about here. So Tom Henke, I guess also want to just elaborate, what kind of pitcher is he? He's a ground ball pitcher, which is great in Tiger Stadium because the double plays go up there quite a bit. I think it's like 7% above average in Tiger Stadium for double plays. So that is an advantage. I don't like his fastball. It's not, he's not really a strikeout pitcher. His fastball is his best pitch. He's also got a forkball. So he's got 2 pitches that are above average and a slider that's decent. So, Tom Henke is somebody that I would definitely consider maybe the best pitcher available for us to trade for, not knowing whether or not they want to even make a deal with us. Let's take a look at our payroll over here. We're under $6 million. We're projected to have a loss right now. But we've trimmed a lot of big payroll off this season. I'm not really too worried about it as long as we finish the season in the positive from a cash perspective. We should be all right. The other thing about that, too, is if we make it to the playoffs, we'll get the additional revenue from being in a playoff game, from having any playoff game at home. So, okay, let's take a look at the next team that I was looking at here is the Chicago Cubs. Now, they're a half game out of first, and really any of these 5 teams here really are still in it. So, would Chicago be willing to trade me Lee Smith? That's who I want. Now, he's a setup man for the Cubbies. He's not even their closer technically, although he does have the most saves on the team. But Bill Caudell is in that role now. And so if you take a look here at Lee Smith, he is available for trade. He's pitched 44 innings pitched, so that would be right there among our team leaders in relief innings pitched. So that's not great, in my opinion. Obviously, he's a great pitcher. He's a Hall of Famer in real life. 8 out of 9 save opportunities. He would be 1 year less of arbitration before he goes to a major league deal than Tom Henke. And I'm not really concerned about the overall ratings because those adjust based on the team and the amount of money you put into training and your staff and all that stuff. So his fastball is better than Henke's as far as speed goes. An average ground ball pitcher, so not as good as Henke is. And he does have 4 pitches, but only one of them, his 4-seam fastball, is better than average. Sliders right there. So, I mean, Lee Smith, definitely a possibility. I could see him closing for us. It says right here, Lee wasn't too happy after the 3 games that he lost. He could have been a better ERA. He's given up 37 hits. Yeah, he's given up only 37 hits in 44 innings pitched, so his opponent's batting average is good. So, I mean, Lee Smith, definitely a candidate. I kind of feel like I'd like Tom Henke better than Lee Smith. And let's take a look at the third option, which is on the Astros, and that's Dave Smith. No relation to Lee Smith, as you can see. He is a solid closer, and I've had him before in other iterations of this baseball mogul game, and I actually put Dave Smith into the Hall of Fame one time. As a Tiger. So I already have that connection to Dave Smith. I know he can get the job done. He's only thrown 34 innings, so that's great. And he's got a great walk to strikeout ratio this season, which is awesome. Making the major league minimum, and his arbitration is the same as Lee Smith. It's 1 year earlier than Tom Henke. Fastball, again, not quite 90 miles an hour. A high ground ball pitcher, that is awesome. He's got 2 pitches above 80, including his fastball, which is at a 91 rating. His curveball is just below average, and forkball is incidental. So, and he's not a closer for Houston. So Houston is, by all accounts, out of the race. They're 11 games back. So maybe they're willing to deal for next season. And I want to just double check that. I think it did say Dave Smith is available for trade. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into the trade possibilities here. Let's go back to Texas first, and look at Tom Henke. So let's see what they're willing to trade for Tom Henke. So we're going to click on Henke here, and we're going to go get him. So Tom Henke, already here in the trade box for the current offer. This will tell you down here what they're looking for. And I'm telling you right now, I do not want to trade anybody who's in the starting lineup, with the exception of maybe Andre Dawson, who I'm still not quite willing to give up on, but if it helps with payroll, I might be willing to trade him. So let's go over here and get a counter offer and see what they want in return. Oh, we don't have anybody they want. That sucks. Okay, because normally they'll just go ahead and throw some people in the box there. So let's see what we can entice them with. They need an established starting pitcher. Hey, how about Jerry Euger? We're dumping our trash into Arlington. You see our lineup here. Sorry, we'll just scoot on down to Jerry Euger. So Jerry Euger, he would be a major league minimum player. He's rated an 84, so he's right in the range of Tom Henke. We already have a little bit of a rapport with Texas. We traded Bryn Smith over there maybe less than a month ago. So what if we just said Jerry Euger for Tom Henke? What do you think about that? Are you trying to insult me? Oh, I've got a whole bunch of insults. So you'll know when I'm insulting you. Euger is not going to be enough. So, a starting catcher. Now we do have, we're committed to Lance Parrish, and Lance Parrish is having his best year, but also not being productive. He's only starter, the everyday starter that we have that does not have 40 RBI. And he's making money. So I guess my point is I'm not really willing to trade Lance Parrish. But, would they take Dwight Lowry? Would they take Marty Party? Do I want to give up Bobby Ramos? I would. But why would they want him? I don't know. So he's 26. So these are all, reasonably priced players. We go down the list and we have, Jeff Datz. They don't want Jeff Datz. We've already traded away all of our good catchers, and we have Mike McFarland, who we just drafted, who's rated, at a single A level. So he's not. So they're not going to go for any of those clowns. What about a starting second baseman? Now, if you take a look at our AAA players, which I can just tell you from looking at, it's Hojo, Barbaro, Scotty Earl, who's rated pretty good. Is he a second baseman? He is a second baseman. He could be a second baseman. He could also be a utility player for them. He's not a great hitter, though. But he's got 94 power, for crying out loud. Scotty Earl, I don't know. I have no problem getting rid of Scotty Earl. Let's see, is that enough for them? Let's go ahead and let's balance the cash. Okay, they also want me to throw in $250,000, which we cannot do. We only have $300,000. So let's clear the cash money. Let's just see if they'll take it. If you had some cheap talent, we could have a deal. Okay, so I would be willing to do that. I'd be willing to throw in a pitcher, a minor league pitcher. And we have a lot of people in AA and below that we can afford to give up. Like, how about a name that we don't really care about? Like Carl Willis, a solid pitching coach in real life, but not a great major league level pitcher. Pitch for the Tigers, pitch for the Reds, and perhaps the Indians. And he's got a pretty good rating. So what if we offer them back a 21-year-old Carl Willis with a pretty decent rating? Players may not be traded in their first year. That's not. They're. He's in his third year. So what's the deal there? That's got to be a glitch, because I want him to go over here. Okay, well that sucks. Okay, well I guess let's try somebody else. Well, this is frustrating. What about Chuck Carey? Let's take a look at Chuck Carey. Chuck Carey just made it to AAA at the All-Star break. At the draft, we moved him up. Pitching okay, and he's pitched pretty good his whole minor league career. But he's in the middle, like he's a long reliever. And I'm not really a big fan of that. Either be a starter or be a 1 or 2 inning pitch reliever. So let's throw Chuck Carey in there and see if that makes the deal sweeter. Oh, wow. Now they're going to pay us $850,000 for that combination. We could definitely use $1 million. I guess we could also, let's clear that. Maybe we could ask them for a right fielder, which we need. Do they have a right fielder? Oh, whoops, we're going the wrong way. Right fielder. Well, we don't want Leon Roberts, that's for sure. And Billy Sample is a terrible defensive outfielder. Richie Zisk is a 4th outfielder for them, and he's making too much money for too long with a poor rating. We have Rick Manning, who's a Gold Glove center fielder, but not really going to help us offensively. Mickey Rivers, who will be a free agent at the end of the season. And so that means that maybe we can take Mickey Rivers off their hands, balance it out, and the cash will pay for his salary. And we can have a 4th outfielder maybe a 3rd outfielder in right field. I mean, yes, I know Ed Miller is doing well, but we can get Mickey Rivers out of the deal, and we don't have to. And we have his salary covered. That seems pretty fair. So I think that's this is a very big possibility. I like the way it looks, and I'm just going to jot this down on paper so that I can remember and come back to it. And that way we can go and take a look at another deal. Now, if you're watching this, if you discover this video by accident, this may be totally uninteresting, and I get it. But if you play this computer simulation here, this is kind of the fun thing about it. I enjoy this aspect of the gameplay. We're going to clear the entire offer, and we're going to move on to the Cubs. And let's see what we got to do to get Lee Smith. Of the 3, I think Lee Smith is probably my least favorite option. Because he doesn't really have a great fastball. In this game anyway. So here's Lee Smith. Let's get a counter offer for Lee. They want Barbaro Garbey. I'm okay with that. They want Tom Filer. He pitched not so good yesterday, but I'm not attached to him. I am attached to Cappy, though. Cappy is a big part of our bullpen, and I definitely would not trade Capizzello. Now, do they want a left-handed reliever alternative? Who do we have in the bullpen? We have Paul Gibson, who is a left-handed reliever, younger than Capizzello, cheaper than Capizzello, and for longer under contract. And I don't really care about Paul Gibson. So let's balance the cash. And with that deal, they'd still be willing to give us some money. Okay, so let's clear this. And let's see if they have a right fielder to work with. And if they do, I mean, they have a lot of Tigers already. We've done a lot of deals. We could get Stegman back, the Stegosaurus. We love him. Oops. He's older and going to arbitration and making a salary that we, I don't know, probably don't want to have to pay for Stegman. Do they have anybody worth getting in the outfield? Jeff Burrows, 31 years old, paying too much money for too long, so that's a no. Jim Bestwick, I don't even know who that is. I'm not really even, I guess we'll take a look. Nope. That's not going to help us. Scooting down a little bit, Carlos Lozcano, no. Rated poorly. Ken Henderson's at the end of his career. Lenny Randall. No. Jesus Figueroa. No. Dan Ford. Dan Ford is a terrible defensive player, right? Oh, no, he's pretty solid. And he's in AAA now, but not the worst, right? He's got some power. He's showing power this year. A good batting average. I like Dan Ford as well. He's getting paid, and we'd have him for one more season at that amount. Let's add Dan Ford as we take a little bit longer look down the list. Scotty Thompson, I don't care about. Mike Vale, I don't care about. Mike Vale, I can remember getting his baseball cards as a kid and being so disappointed every time I saw him. Jerry Martin's a career pinch hitter. El Javier. Carmelo Martinez, young Carmelo, but he's a left fielder. Okay, so Dan Ford is a possibility. Let's balance the cash, and they would be willing to cover his check, really, for next year. So that is not the worst deal on the planet. I really don't want to give up Tom Filer, and in fact, he would be going back to the Cubs because he was a Cubby. So this isn't my favorite deal. I'm going to jot this down as well because this would be something I could work with. So it's Garbe. It is Filer. It is Gibson. We would be down just to one Gibby. And that is going to be for Lee Smith and Dan Ford. Okay, I don't hate that. And then 350,000. Okay, so put that aside. And we're going to go ahead and clear this. And we're going to go take a look at Houston. Now, I don't know. I have a thing about Dave Smith that I like him, already because I know he's been valuable for me. But we're starting this in a game, in a simulation in a different season than when I had him. His numbers look really good. Let's go ahead and add Dave Smith. Let's find out what the counter offer is. Oh, crap. So, we've got nothing they want. They want an established closer, but they've already got Joe Sambito, and they got Dave Smith. Why would they want to trade him? And a starting second baseman. That's who they're looking for. And we're not going to give up Lou, that's for sure. But we could give up Scotty Earl. Let's take a look here. Where's Earl? There he is, Scotty Earl. Okay, let's just say, what about straight up Earl for Smith? I know that's not going to work. I'd like to strike a deal, but frankly, your offer stinks. That's just me. Okay, let me see here. So beyond Earl, now we do have in the minors, I do have Mike Henneman, future Detroit closer. Now we wouldn't need him. Wow, look at that. A 98 he could be. Holy Nikes. Wow. Do I dare get rid of him? He's 20 years old, so he's pretty young, but he could close right now. But we want someone who's a little more tested. Would they just take Dave Smith for Mike Henneman? Do I look like I was born yesterday? Okay. Wow. So maybe I do have to add Scotty Earl still. So let's find Scotty Earl. I was hoping we could maybe keep Earl in the in AAA. But maybe this will be enough to entice them. Let's see. Okay, they love it. All right. Now, this, in my opinion, is the better deal. Mike Henneman could be like a Hall of Fame closer, though. Scotty Earl I could care less about, other than he was on the 84 Tigers World Series team. He had a cup of coffee that year. And Dave Smith, I love. Now he's 27 years old. Let's just revisit this. So he's 27 already, and he's won he's won a World Series, lost that World Series. Only 34 innings pitched, so that's good. Like, we know that we could really tax his arm. His health is good, so he's not going to go around the IL or anything. Good walk to strikeout ratio, good walk to innings pitched ratio, reasonable opponent's batting average. He has given up more than a hit an inning, which is not a good sign. He's blown some saves. Okay, man, this is where I wish I could talk to you guys directly and get your input. Let's go ahead and write this down. And I'm going to, this is Henneman, longtime Detroit Tiger closer, and Scotty Earl for Dave Smith. Okay, so I already think that any of these three teams would make these deals. Houston's out of it. Texas is out of it. And the Cubs are in it. And Lee Smith is not technically their closer right now. So looking over these deals, it would be Henke and Rivers for Euger, Earl, and Carey. We would lose Jerry Euger, who is proven he can't play every day. He can't really maintain a rotation spot. And we get Henke, who is younger, and we'd have him for longer than the other two deals. And Mickey Rivers, whose salary would be covered by the amount of money that Texas would chip in. So that's actually a really great deal in my mind. For Lee Smith and Dan Ford, I like this deal too. We get rid of Garbe, who's a longtime first baseman of the Tiger. Not a long time, but I mean he was in our system a long time. And we already have Andres Galarraga at AA, who will move to AAA next year. Tom Filer we would lose, and that's a key component. I do like Tom Filer. And he would be our number 5 starter when Petrie comes back in 8 days. And then Paul Gibson I don't care about. So for Lee Smith and Dan Ford, and they were willing to chip in $350,000. And also we just saw the Dave Smith trade for Henneman and Earl. Giving up Henneman seems like a mistake because he has such promise, but I guess there's no guarantees of a pitcher coming out of the minor leagues that he'd ever be good in this game. It's just hard to say. So it's Henneman and Earl for Dave Smith for that deal, and I think there was a little bit of chunk of change in there too. So, I want to know what you guys would do. This is really tough. I gave myself 3 options. It's always good to have options, but now I'm kind of stuck here and thinking about it. Okay, so let's go back into the trade. The trade board. Man, I'm thinking the other 2 deals I'd be giving up 3 players. With the Dave Smith deal, I'd only give up 2 players. But maybe like a killer closer. Scotty Earl I don't care about. Okay, I think the longer I think about it, the more I'm just talking myself into Dave Smith. Now, Houston won the World Series last year, so they're out of it already this year. I don't feel like I'm taking advantage of the team. Again, I always think of these things like, would a real major league team make this deal? We have a pretty good rapport with Houston. We've made deals with them before. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and pull this trade off. We're gonna do Dave Smith for Scotty Earl. It's another AAA batter that we're getting rid of, though. We are really thin at the AAA level on offense. And we're going to add maybe our best minor league pitcher. He's not even, if you look down here on our prospects, he's not even one of our top prospects, though. And honestly, relievers are a dime a dozen. They're not that hard to develop. We got Jeff Montgomery right there. I mean, Kansas City Royals longtime reliever. Same age, not as good. So, okay, that makes me feel better about it. Now, where are they going to throw in some cash money? Oh, they'll throw in $200,000. So that's like extra money. It's like free money. Okay, we're going to do it. This is the trade. Submit the offer. Done deal. She loves it. And that deal is in the books. So there's one of the trades. I'm going to hold off on making a trade for a right fielder. That is the next thing that we really need to do. We're going over here, look at the transactions. And I've created this little trade template that I think I'm going to use from now on. You can see here it's Mike Henneman and Scotty Earl to Houston for Dave Smith and $200,000. So that's going to be a little template that I'm going to pull up every time there's a trade, whether it's a Tiger or not. So, okay, well, that's going to do it. I hope that was interesting and not entirely pointless for you to watch. We are going to have a baseball game today. It's going to be a first game against the Oakland A's. First time we've seen them all year. And there's a couple surprises on that team we're going to show you when we get to it. So, at any rate, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this trade video. And until tomorrow, everyone, have a great night.